This is Yagami. This is John 66. And I am Ranger 1. Today we're going to follow Yagami and John's exploits driving out the Weasel 1 AWC in Armored Warfare. This is the first subscriber replay that I have put on my channel from Armored Warfare. I've done countless subscriber replays from War Thunder. And we're going to give the new replay system that Armored Warfare just came out with a whirl and see how it does. Now, Yagami is going to break to the right and head for the northwest corner of the map. John is going to stay more toward the center of the map and do a quick flyby of the central ridge to do a little bit of scouting there. Don't worry, he'll join Yagami in just a moment. I chose this match to feature in a video for two reasons, even though it's a little bit of a heartbreaker. Some foreshadowing there. Number one, it's chock full of action, which is always good. And secondly, it's an excellent example of teamwork. These two Weasel drivers back each other up very, very well throughout the entire match. It's a classic example of how best to utilize these vehicles in combat. And it doesn't hurt that Yagami is a perfect gentleman in chat throughout the entirety of the match. That's very welcome indeed. Both Yagami and John have surmised that the lighter, faster vehicles on the enemy team are going to come to this corner of the map to try and slip behind their lines. A short burst by Yagami convinces them that this isn't going to be as easy as they had hoped. John has made it across to back him up, and another Weasel driver, Liev, is there as well. Since their opposite numbers are still deciding how they want to proceed, Yagami's going to take the opportunity to lay in a little flanking fire up on the ridge. He has to be careful, though. It's not going to take the Weasel drivers on the enemy team long to decide what point they want to attack. At this point, and throughout the bulk of the match, Yagami's going to be using his semi-armor piercing high explosive incendiary rounds. It's a good choice up against these enemy Weasel drivers, and he's about to get his chance to show us just how good a choice it is. His reliance on this ammunition type is going to be important a little bit later on. Right now, the Weasels are making their move. They've chosen their spot to break through. Liev is doing his best to hold his ground, and actually doing pretty well considering the odds. Yagami takes down his target, but now he has to reload. Fortunately, John is there to cover him while his reload finishes, and between the two of them, they take out the last of the intruding Weasel drivers. You know, I'm pretty sure that when I was a young man, if you had told me that at one point in my life I'd be saying things like intruding Weasel drivers, I would have told you to go home, you're drunk. Anyway, that's beside the point. Yagami's on the attack again. There's an M1134 that he is destroying at the moment, but he's going to run out of ammo again, and John moves over to help finish that one off and deal with the last Weasel that has moved in support. Between the two of them, they make short work of the pair. If you take a quick peek at the chat box, you'll notice Yagami takes a moment to thank John for coming to his assistance. Yeah, he's pretty much a class act. Yagami's team has an advantage now, at least in the scouting department. They have 3 Weasels left and an undisputed run of this side of the map. The enemy team has lost all 4 of their Weasels, so they're going to have to rely on their tank destroyers and main battle tanks. They are no slouches, though, and the early lead that Yagami's team was enjoying is slowly starting to bleed away. Yagami and John will attempt to pin down a T-80 up there on the ridge. He manages to slip past, but he does it with only a sliver of health left. Now it's time to change position. Yagami moves toward the enemy capture point, while John heads in the direction of the ridge. This is a good strategy. They're splitting up, they're covering all the angles, spotting everything that needs to be spotted, and putting themselves in position to give good flanking fire for the rest of their team. John appears to be determined not to let that T-80 get away. It's low on health. He should be able to take it out with one burst. He'll use the ridge for cover most of the way, waiting until the last moment to go ahead and pop over the lip. He'll spot his target, the T-80's down below him. One quick burst and it's all over. Before the enemy team has time to react, Yagami sweeps in from the other direction. He's got a main battle tank in his sights. He's going to designate him and narrowly avoids a return shot. He's lit that guy up for his entire team, which is a great use of the Weasel's capabilities. But now he's got to be careful. There's a tank destroyer coming around from the other side of that building. That tank destroyer is a much more viable target than the main battle tank, so he will press his attack. He's got to be careful. That driver's pretty good and pulls back into cover very quickly. Yagami will continue his sweep to the right and force the tank destroyer to pull back even further around the building, straight into John's sights. John made sure he was in the right place at the right time to support Yagami's play. He avoids return fire, forces the TD back around on the other side, and then when he can make sure that the main battle tank to his left isn't going to get a clear shot, he pushes forward to help Yagami finish off the TD. I mentioned at the beginning of this video that teamwork was one of the main reasons why I chose this video to feature on my channel, and that was an excellent example of it. It's too bad that the rest of their team isn't displaying the same level of teamwork though, because, well, now it's just John and Yagami left. Everyone else has been polished off. They're up against 5 main battle tanks and a very good tank destroyer. Things are looking a little bit grim for the home team. They're going to do the smartest thing they can do. They're going to fall back a little bit and try and draw the enemy team after them. Yagami gets in a good covering position, and John sees that tank destroyer moving in pursuit. He's going to dive directly in and face him head on, with covering fire from Yagami. John makes a risky move. He manages to take out the tank destroyer, but almost gets taken out by one of the main battle tanks in return. He keeps going. It's the only thing he can do. Zigzagging madly left and right, he cuts to the left down at the bottom of this ravine, narrowly avoiding the fire from another main battle tank, and continues to press his attack. He cuts to the right, hoping to fake him out, but he ends up taking that shot directly in the face. He's hurting now. He's become a one-shot kill, but he managed to take out the main battle tank in return. That's trimmed down the odds somewhat. It's now only 2-1. And now it's Yagami's turn to press the attack from the other side. He opens up on an M1 Abrams and almost takes him out before he's forced to pull back. Again, John immediately backs his play and puts in covering fire, at great personal risk. The Abrams is now cornered, but John doesn't have a clear line of sight on him, so he does the next best thing and opens up on that T-80, forcing him back and almost getting taken out again. This opens the door for Yagami to press forward. John leaves his position to link up with Yagami, and that poor Abrams driver is still looking for him in the other direction. Well-executed Wolfpack tactics like this complement the Weasel's capabilities perfectly. If you still have any lingering doubts about this, watch this next exchange carefully. Yagami wheels around. John has flushed out an overly aggressive T-80 on low health. John cuts past him, avoiding return fire. Then Yagami heads back in the other direction, drawing his attention back the other way. He avoids the return fire, cuts over the ridge, and ducks back down behind it, keeping the T-80's attention while John comes up behind him and finishes him off. Now, to my knowledge, John and Yagami don't know each other. They're not in the same platoon, and they're not on voice comms together. It's pretty rare to find somebody on your team that you can work with so smoothly. Yagami is the player that turned in this replay to me, and he made it quite clear in the accompanying email that he had nothing but respect for John. And I can certainly see why. John is sitting currently on 8 kills. But I also have to point out that John wouldn't have those kills if it wasn't for the excellent backup that he received from Yagami. There's a slight lull in the action as John and Yagami break contact. They want to make sure the enemy team can't see them as they fall back, regroup, and reposition. They want to come at the last two enemy players from a random point of the compass. If they can catch that low health T80 facing the wrong way and take him out of the match, between the two of them, they should be able to deal with that high health Type 90-2. I suppose it's inevitable in a situation like this that a conversation has started up in chat, relatively respectfully, that is accusing the Weasel of being overpowered. Now, you've seen how easily the Weasel can be taken out in a match. It doesn't take much at all. You can maybe make one mistake, but if you make any more than that, you're probably going to end your military career very quickly. But by the same token, you can see just how devastating the Weasel can be in the hands of a skilled driver. So I'll leave this one up to you. Do you consider the Weasel to be an overpowered vehicle in armored warfare? Or do you feel that it's a finely tuned vehicle that is very, very dependent on the skill of its driver to be effective? For the sake of fairness, I do feel it necessary to point out that the most sarcastically critical player that is complaining about the Weasel was also driving one, and he died at the very beginning of the match with only one kill under his belt. Still, both points of view have merit, so let me know what you think in the comments section below. Back to the match at hand, Yagami's taken the opportunity to remove some of the main battle tank's cover that they've been using effectively, and John tries to once again press his advantage. But he extends a little too far, and it costs him his life. Worse still, he wasn't able to take out the low health T80 before he went down. And it's at this point that Yagami makes his first critical mistake. He's got the side of the T80 exposed to him, but he forgot to change ammunition. He's still using high explosive, and when he realized his mistake, he hesitated and took a huge hit to the side of his Weasel. Now he's a one-shot kill. This is a really good example of just how unforgiving the Weasel can be of a driver's error. And a main battle tank, that wouldn't have cost him nearly as much. Yagami will try to make the best of his situation. There's only really one thing he can do. He breaks contact again and repositions. He doesn't have much time to work with though, so he takes cover behind this containment tank and works over the T80. And he almost takes him down. But then Yagami makes his second and final mistake of the match. He's spotted, and he doesn't pull back quite far enough before he makes his turn. Even in defeat, Yagami is a perfect gentleman in chat, congratulating the enemy team. And I want to also point out that he was very quick to point out the mistakes that he made in the email he sent with this replay. It's pretty heartbreaking to end up losing a match like that after such a great comeback, but I think that both Yagami and John can walk out of it with their heads held pretty high. Yagami earned more base experience than anyone else in the match and also left with 3 medals pinned to his chest: Iron Star, Recon, and Sentinel. And John, for his part, had twice as many kills as anyone else in the match. I suppose if you have to lose a match now and again, that's the way to do it. Well, it's time to wrap this up now. Don't forget to let me know your feelings on the Weasel in the comments below. And if you like this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up, and if you really liked it, share it with a few thousand of your closest friends. I must admit I'm looking forward to doing more of these Armored Warfare subscriber replay videos. So if you've got one that you think deserves its spot on the channel, I will put a link in the comments below to my video that tells you exactly how to take your replay files and get them to me. That's it for now. Until I see you again, good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.